Good afternoon. So we're here, just want to say hi to our audience. We're here for Taking the Reins with a wonderful group of panelists and my colleagues and peers. Before we get started, I want to ask our group to introduce ourselves and also describe ourselves to help our audience members with accessibility, with vision accessibility. LaSaundra?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is LaSaundra Booth. I am the Executive Director and founder of the Wake Forest Community Youth Orchestra in Wake Forest, North Carolina. I am an African-American female with brown hair, and I have on a golden top, and I'm in my 40s.
Angie?
Good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes a todos. My name is Angie Durrell. I am connecting from Stamford, Connecticut, land of the Munsee, Lenape, Native Americans in what we know of the state of Connecticut. I am a Latina female, early 30s, and I'm wearing a light jacket with my black hair and my dark mestizo skin. Thank you.
And Rod.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm thrilled to be a part of this panel with these brilliant women, and thankful to Abigail, Afa, and Aaron for this opportunity. My name is Rod Vester, and I serve as Executive Director for PRIZM Ensemble here in Memphis, Tennessee, on the historic land of the Chickasaw Nation. As leader of the PRIZM Ensemble, ultimately I work to create spaces where all people feel valued, voiced, and visible. In addition to my work with the PRIZM Ensemble, I am an entrepreneur as well. I work with musicians, helping them to develop skills on and off the instrument. I am an African-American male, a really great looking guy. So kind of imagine that. I have on a pink shirt, a necktie, and I'm in my early 40s.
Wonderful, thank you. And I'm Yvette Loynaz. I am a newly appointed Director of Artistic Administration at Opera Theater of St. Louis in St. Louis, Missouri. I am a fair-skinned Latina, short brown hair, blue blouse, and I'm here in Miami, Florida. And I am really excited to join this panel of fellow Sphinx leaders, which is what brings the tie that binds us together, and dig into this really important topic about diversity and diversifying administrations, organizations across the board. So before we get into it, I do want to invite our audience to go ahead and submit your questions, comments. We would love for this to be a participatory, engaging conversation. If you hear something that inspires a comment or a question, we will make space for that midway through and hopefully have a great dialogue with you as well. So panel, you know, this diversity topic is really a very central, clearly, for this conference. And I want to acknowledge that this work has been work that Sphinx has been doing for decades, but we all have been a part in our work and in our organizations since the murder of George Floyd, and the movement that has fueled this need, this real absolute need for organizations to tackle diversity and make it central to every part of the organization. I want to know what you think are the challenges as organizations at various stages, you know, acknowledging that there are organizations that have been doing this work for decades, and there are organizations that are just starting to do this work. What, in your opinion, are the challenges? Rod.
Thank you, Yvette. I think one of the challenges is first to understand what diversity is and isn't. So diversity, you know, equality, equity, inclusion have all become buzzwords in our field, in our workplaces, in our classrooms, and even on social media. So for those who come from historically and currently marginalized backgrounds, these words aren't meant to be thrown around lightly. So as a researcher, definitions are really important to me because they help center conversations. So I wanted to just, if I can, just quickly define what diversity is and isn't, so that our conversation will be centered and all will understand what we mean when we talk about diversity in the administration. So simply put, diversity refers to the existence of variations of different characteristics in a group of people. So it's the range of human differences, including but not limited to, race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, age, social class, physical ability, etc. And so, as we know, each individual comes into the organization bringing with them a different and diverse set of perspectives, work and life experiences, as well as religious and cultural differences. So what we should know is that, it's that diversity isn't inclusion, right? Diversity isn't equity. It's none of those things. And so when we talk about diversifying the organization, we are thinking about, a bigger picture and moving really from diversity to more inclusivity.
Yes, and that's a really important point to make. It's kind of, it's almost impossible to do this work meaningfully without thinking beyond diversity, in taking it through to inclusion, meaningful inclusion. LaSaundra, do you have any thoughts to add?
Sure, Yvette, I just wanted to add something from the standpoint of being an entrepreneur and a up and coming arts administrator. From that standpoint, I think one of the challenges that organizations face is not just creating the pathway and not just creating the path line, but ensuring that that there is equitable access for administrators of color to get into some of these programs. I found myself, starting out in 2014, no pathway, no pipeline, and outside of the Sphinx Lead program, which I'm very grateful for, I want these organizations to really see, okay, are we providing equitable access to our programs for administrators of color?
Excellent point. Angie.
Yes, this is a very important topic because what I find myself often sharing people in my network that there's many aspects of cultural diversity, there's many aspects of ethnic diversity, and as an immigrant from Ecuador, for example, I always find myself, having to clarify that even though we may speak the same language, Spanish, we don't always necessarily share the same culture. So that's something that through the programming that we do in intercultural music education and artistic programming, we try to highlight that Central and South America and Caribbean, Latinos, Latin American diversity share a lot of common things, but at the same time, they're also very unique and different and wonderful cultures.
Yes, and I just want to add as far as challenges for organizations, I mean, what I'm hearing is the need for real authentic engagement with not only with external partners, but also internally with the staff, the existing administration. And in my experience, the challenges from the organization side is really how do you do this work without coming across as tokenizing, as putting the burden on the people of color, on your staff? Like, how do you step into this space as organizations that are predominantly white with white leadership and start to tackle this work? And I think that's been, and also tackling your own biases, which is really something, I mean, that goes across, race, identity, we all bring it, we all have them. And so that is really the internal work that needs to be a part of this. This is not something that you can just program a few works. This is not just about hiring, BIPOC leadership and then what, so it's about those steps, which leads me into my next question about what is this inner work? what are some tangible, actions, and what does that look like? I just want to open that up to the panel. Who'd like to dig into that first?
I'll share some of my thoughts based on what I'm seeing right now in the field and some of the organizations that we're working with or we're hearing back from. I think there has to be first a lot of internal work done in the leadership, in the board, in knowing what your diversity scorecard or goals look like, for the lack of a better way. So if you want to have one board member of color or one more diverse board members, then that has to be done with the board, and that has to be truly a commitment. And then if you're looking to diversify your staff, list the salary, do the headhunters, ask the candidates, what are your goals in the positions that you're looking for, versus the headhunters and the organizations know what they want to get, but they don't know, or they don't care to ask sometimes what the candidates or the administrators that are seeking to be in different organizations would look for in an organization, what the organizational culture looks like. And the things that we have to ask ourselves is, everybody wants change, but nobody wants things to change. So the goal here is to challenge the status quo and push ourselves beyond what we're comfortable with, because it's certainly not working, and it will be a good path, a smart path for relevance and greater inclusion.
And I think another thing that organizations can do is track their data. Like, for example, in order to go somewhere, you first have to know where you are. What is your data saying? Where are your applicants coming from? If you are posting jobs, are all the applicants coming from down the street? Are all the applicants coming from your state? Track your data. We do so much, for our organizations, but we fail to track the data. So keeping track of your data is going to help you to identify, one, where you are, and then from this point, where are we going?
Absolutely. Can I just say about that, because I do think this is a polarizing topic about putting numbers around diversity for a lot of organizations, a real fear around putting those numbers. And Sphinx has also put out a call to organizations to commit to 15% in programming budget of Black and Latinx creators specifically. And I've heard both sides. I've heard the sides that's not enough, and then I've heard the side of, well, we have to put a number to it. And I would love to hear what you think about it. For me personally, while I understand the fear of wanting to put a number to it, I also think that is something that we can all understand, because if you don't measure it, you have nowhere to go to, you have nowhere, and I would say put it out there. It has to be external, because if you're not sharing it, how are you being accountable to it? And I think that's in a world where there's so many shifting priorities. We are all dealing with a pandemic that is absolutely creating moving targets from day to day. This is something, it's so important. And this is why wherever you're starting from, it's kind of see where you are, and wherever you are is okay. And I think that's something that I just want to put that out there to white leadership, to white board members, to BIPOC people. This is really work. We all have to be really clear about where we are, how we're bringing our own biases to the conversation and calling each other in about this work. And I want to advocate for that, because I've been in conversations where I've heard, why don't we just approach every program as being inclusive? And that would be great in an ideal world where we're not bringing our biases, where we're not being, whatever our path is and what we don't see what we don't see. So until you're actually being accountable to something, I really think this is the work, because the fact is that we haven't been able to do it successfully without numbers. So why not? So Rod, I saw you were going to unmute, but I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah. Yes, what we have done has not worked, right? So the definition of insanity is, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, right? And so many times I think we have been insane in our field. But yeah, I mean, I think, if measurables are important, I mean, you have to be able to, be accountable to the statements that you've made, to the statements that that are out there, right? And so, whether it's 15%, 20%, I mean, you define what success is to you for your organization, but I mean, you have to have some type of measurables so where you're going and if you made it, so you have to be able to look back to see your successes, your failures, and and all of that. So I'm all for metrics. I mean, I'm a researcher, so I mean, that's yeah, that's a thing. So yeah, all for it.
And so let's go back to the question of inner work. So what's your approach to this? And what would you say for either your organization or organizations out there looking to advance their work in diversity?
Yeah, I agree with what Angie and Dr. Booth, what they both said. I think it starts by looking in the mirror and identifying, unpacking, and dismantling, the ways in which your behaviors may have perpetuated white supremacy, right? And so I typically think this reflection comes in 4 stages, I believe. Awareness, 1, then you begin to educate yourself. So education, self-interrogation, which is, interrogating your beliefs, practices, stereotypes, assumptions, and all of that. And then action, right? And I think we also have to look within our organizations and ask a bunch of questions. So, who are we building relationships with? Who are we engaging and why? Who comes to our programs, concerts, etc. What are our hiring practices? Do we use inclusive language? Do we understand what intersectionality is? I mean, you have to, ask yourself a lot of questions and be able to answer those questions. I think that can help you to move forward. So I would say, yeah, first look in the mirror, and do the individual work, and then look within your organization and begin to interrogate it as well.
Excellent. And I'll just add, I think this is a theme across sessions. Certainly yesterday, I heard this a few times, but this is certainly not the work of one. It is the work of many, and it is a daily practice. So I think a lot of times we like to put diversity as a separate subject, something we tackle in a task force or in a committee. But until organizations can see this as central to every department, every level of the organization, and it really is self-education is so important, and I really appreciate the organizations that have been bringing training to their staffs and having these conversations and creating spaces, safe spaces, where we can have real conversations, get vulnerable, and start thinking, okay, not just diversity, but let's imagine a world where we bring in this wonderful array of diverse perspectives and identities into your organization. How are you going to retain them? What is happening in your organization? What are the systems in place that will create a space where people feel like they can come and bring a different perspective and be accepted and feel like they belong? So it's everything. And from the artistic side, it really is from the second you step into a theater, like who's front of house, who's welcoming you, who's guiding you to your seats, who's on stage, who's backstage. I mean, all of it matters. And I encourage, all of our sessions are wonderful, but there were some really great conversations yesterday around this topic that I would love to unpack further. And I just want to put that out there. I think that's important too, just for the presenting organizations, but internally from the staff. I don't know if anyone else wants to pick that up, or we continue with our conversation. Okay. All right. So now that we understand that there's so much work into this, and it's so different depending on the organization and where they're at and what part of the country you're in. And again, this is all so defined individually. What would be your advice to leadership, to the administrators, to the boards on what not to do? We've kind of unpacked what to do and how this can be challenging, but any thoughts on what not to do? Who should I go to? I open the floor. Angie?
Oh,
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead, LaSaundra. Go ahead.
I think one key thing that I would ask the board and I would ask for leadership not to do is don't try to change me. If you're hiring me, you're getting a person of excellence. If you're hiring me, that means you know, I know about your strategic plan. I know how to move the organization forward, but don't try to change who I am. You want me because of what I bring to you. So I think one thing that we, you know, so often we hear that we get the job and then they won't go with our ideas or they won't go with the initiatives that we try to do. So if you're hiring me, if you're hiring, you know, administrators of color, don't try to change who we are, you know, and that's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree, LaSaundra, and I think that for organizations, it's definitely create that sense of welcoming us, welcoming our perspectives, and invite us when you're ready for us, or invite us as being transparent to say, we haven't figured this out yet, but we want you to be a thought partner and we will value the lived experiences that you have. Because the most thing that, I mean, I personally fear, or I think that others might fear too, or that I think of when I hire people at INTEMPO is how do I not set someone up for failure? Because sometimes if we hire someone and we invest resources, but we don't have the data, the equipment, the basic infrastructure that they may need to carry out their jobs, then they're going to fail and they're going to feel bad and it's not going to end well. So similar with diverse candidates in positions of organizations where this is new work for them, don't set us up for failure without having, you know, some of the systems and processes and onboarding and time, you know, to get our job and show the effectiveness of our work, because it's not going to be changed overnight. You know, when we hired a development person, for example, we know that the role is going to have a return on investment in 12 to 16 months. So we're not expecting, you know, funds to roll out the next day. And similar to candidates too, that are doing difficult work in organizations that have just been embedded in, you know, again, the status quo, or doing things the way that they've done for the past decades.
This first thing that I thought of may sting a little bit, so this is a sting alert. But I would say, you know, don't communicate messages touting your organization's belief in diversity when it conflicts with the organization's reality, right? So if I go to your website, if you're talking about how diverse you are and I don't see that on your website, then you need to take down your messaging. Yeah. So yeah, and also I would say, you know, do not to leaders, do not terminate slowly when there's harmful behavior within the organization. And so this could be someone, you know, interrupting or talking over another person all the time. This could be racist, sexist, xenophobic behavior, homophobic behavior, whatever it is, you need to call it out. So, you know, I have this belief that we should, you know, hire slowly, but terminate fast. And also, you know, do not mistake friendliness for inclusion. So just because you're nice to, you know, these individuals of diversity of coming into your organization does not mean that you're being inclusive. So inclusion is more about, you know, mutual respect and power sharing versus, you know, just being friendly.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. What I'm hearing really is about creating a culture where BIPOC staff or perspectives are adding and not fitting in. And I think that's key. And I would also say, I mean, again, this brings back just how, like, whatever your approach, be authentic. I think that's the key. Like, instead of always trying to tell diverse stories, you know, or tell the community what they need, bring them into the conversation and have them share the power with the community that you want to see in your audiences, with the community you want to see on your stage. I think that's really important. I want to ask, so what do you think, for the organizations that are not quite ready to jump in and are not quite ready to, or let's be real, there's a lot of fear in this, and especially, you know, white male leadership at this moment. You know, it's a moment where there's a lot of expectations, both on rising BIPOC leadership and then white leaders to be allies, right? What's the risk? What's the risk involved of not moving forward, of not taking this work and making it central? Certainly in this moment, but just sustaining it and carrying this through forward. Angie?
Yeah, so I'm a very positive and jolly person. I want to preface this with that about my personality, but I do think that painting the negative reality that could happen if we don't prepare to diversify and make change, make action plans for change right now. My biggest, fear for others and for the United States, for humanity basically, is the shifting demographics. It's the audiences are not the same anymore. The average audience age is 75 years old. So with the, age ratio, the audiences are going to be obsolete in a decade. So our new generation needs to be valued and needs to be engaged now, because in the year 2035, 2043, when the country becomes a majority minority population, then you're not going to have relevance. You're not going to, those elected officials that put you on the city's line item budget are not going to vote for you to get majority of the funding. And that's something that we're seeing here in Connecticut, because organizations are organizing, they're learning. We're going to school with the children of the white majority, and we're learning the same. We're getting a great education, and people are starting to be more strategic and thoughtful about how we make our strategic plan, our game plan, and then how you should also start thinking about that right now.
All right. So I want to make sure that we start with our questions, and I want to remind our audience, if you're out there, please send us your thoughts. Comments are welcome as well, but questions that you'd like us to jump into. And here's the first one, panel. How do you know when to stop talking, planning, dreaming, and start getting to action? What if you're not empowered to take action? How can you support the organization to be accountable? Let me go to LaSaundra.
Thank you, Yvette, for that question. One thing that I can say is that you have to take the reins, okay? You can't wait for somebody else to do it. You have to do it. And I'll just share just briefly about the history of my organization. I was a public school teacher. Every year my job was getting cut. And in the town of Wake Forest, they cut the only string program in the town. So when I saw that I built the program from 3 kids to 70 kids, I said, what are these kids gonna do? These kids are in a rural community. They don't have, the instruments. Their parents don't have the finances to get them to the next biggest city in Raleigh for that orchestra. What are we gonna do? So I took $2,000 of my own personal savings, about 20 instruments for these kids. Cause I said, okay, if I got the instruments, then I'll get the bodies. And today we went from 3 kids to 30 kids to now 350 kids across 3 counties. So you have to take the reins. I did that with no budget, my personal savings. So whatever you have, the work is important. The work in your local area is important. Don't wait for an organization. You be the change that you want to see.
Yes. Yes. Right.
I love it. LaSaundra, I love you, and I applaud the work that you're doing. I can't wait to be able to travel and go visit your work. And I think that we've all done this. I think, you know, me personally, our work comes out of that, you know, we're not going to sit back and not see things or not see ourselves or not see our community involved. And I think we all share, or, you know, speaking for myself, we've all come from that moment of feeling, you know, frustrated and tired and, you know, angry, but we're trying, I encourage everybody to channel that into action. And that's what LaSaundra did. That's what I did with founding INTEMPO. You know, I also used my college graduation funds. You know, I had $1,500 and I said, should I go on vacation or should I invest in this organization? I was 21 years old at the time. I said, let me try to start something from nowhere. I have low overhead. I didn't have much to lose at the time. And now it's 10 years old. Now that $1,500 seed investment that I put in has been transformed into $400,000 a year budget and transformed the lives of so many students. And here I'm speaking at this panel. So really channel that sense of feeling not empowered, but find that power within yourself, because like Brené Brown, you know, the author, says courage is contagious. So that's something that I really encourage everybody to have it, because it's there.
Absolutely. And I just want a shout out for that book, Dare to Lead. And a lot of her books give some great tools for anyone who's looking to lead from wherever you are in an organization. I just want to add to that. It doesn't matter what your title is in an organization. You don't have to look for permission to do the work from where you are in your role, wherever that responsibility lies. And I know in this moment, everyone is ready to have this conversation. So if you are passionate about it, if you're doing self-education and you know what you need to say, I want to like say what Angie said, like find your courage, be brave. This is the moment to start those conversations, create spaces where within your organization you can have conversations about race, about the systems in place in your organization. Start that work. Invite your leadership to have that conversation. I mean, we all have it within our power. I think sometimes it's finding your allies also within the organization. Get your support group together. I mean, once you get enough buy-in on the front end, it's going to move the train in the right direction. So, and this is a great question. Rod, did you want to join in?
I was just going to say, if we were in the Black church, that would have been a praise break for all that, man. That was just really, it's really, really great. But yeah, I mean, I everything everyone said, I agree with. I mean, so I think it's safe to say you have to throw away kind of the top-down approach. And it's because it's really a top-down, bottom-up, middle-out approach, right? And I think the last part of that question talked about accountability, and I would just say those metrics help you with the accountability.
Absolutely, 100%. And I feel like accountability, that's a theme for this conference. Miss Elizabeth Alexander started us in our open plenary. True unity is impossible without accountability. And that's like the quote of the conference for me. Here's another question. How would you shape these conversations with your leadership about a need for diversity? I think we're starting to touch on it, but like if you're at, you know, different levels of the organization, any thoughts, advice on how to bring this to your leadership?
Well, one thing that I do know about higher ed is that you have to have the statistics, you have to have the data. You can't just come with, you know, by faith. You have to actually show them the numbers. I looked at a recent survey, and out of that survey of arts administrators, only 6% are administrators of color. 6% are African American, 7% are Latino. So that's hard data. Get the numbers about what percent of ethnicities are involved in leadership, and start there. But you know, you have to make sure that you have the data when you're going to leadership in higher education.
Yeah, I'll second that because that's something I know board and executive leadership understand.
Yeah, just final thought, like numbers don't lie. If you if you can't measure what, what gets measured gets done. So, I went to my partners or my institutions and my board and shared, we're very proud of our scorecard. 60% of our board is diverse, 70% of our staff is either bilingual or people of color, and that reflects 98% of our student body, which is from a community of color. So it's very balanced. Whereas the other side of the spectrum is, if you sit down and look at your diversity scorecard, that will really be a very sort of a wake-up call that will ignite people to action. And share this with your managers or share this with your colleagues to say, if we want to meet our quarterly goals, if we want to meet the strategic plan goal for year 1, year 2, year 3, this is something that I think could be attempted.
Yes. Oh, here's another one. Okay, what are the things you wish your white colleagues would say, do to make you feel more welcome?
That's a tough one because there's so much, and I would start with also what I wish my colleagues would not say, because something does not make me feel welcome. One of the things that I would recommend is really take the time to get to know the work that I've done, the work that I do, and say that you'll listen to me and listen to me. If I make a suggestion, then go for it. Or if you already, don't ask a question that if you don't already know the answer. And also not, continuing with stereotypes or, making comments that are hurtful, but that you may not have checked within yourself. So that's a little bit to share today.
I mean, I'll add, like, honestly, I don't think it's interesting to make that about like a race, but I mean, I would just say, do what you would do to make anyone feel welcome, like approach this authentically, like really try to get to know the people that you're trying to welcome and create spaces accordingly, right? Like, to me, it's, and I know in the professional setting, it can be challenging just because there's a culture in place, the way people work, it's in place. But I think the more you create spaces where you can get to know one another authentically, go and find people that you would normally not talk to, go outside of your department, go outside of the building. I don't know, like, get to know the humans that are making the work that you're doing happen. I mean, that to me is how you make anyone feel welcome, regardless of where they're coming from. But any other thoughts on that one?
And I would just say one thing that would really make me feel very, very comfortable, please get my name correct. My name is LaSaundra, not LaShaundra, not LaShonda, LaSaundra. So I think that, spending time to get people's names correctly and really understanding the meaning behind their names, would make me feel welcome. Like, oh, you take the time to fix it and correct it. That's really important.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll just end by saying that, something we learned, like when I was studying psychology, was you cannot not communicate, right? So sometimes it's not about what people are saying, it's about what they're not saying as well, right? So body language, inaction, all of that. So I wouldn't, when you think about, how to communicate with, people, colleagues, communicating with others, I mean, understand that it's not all about what you say, but sometimes it's about what you're not saying and what you're not doing.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorting through these. We have some really great questions, and I don't know if we're going to get to all of them, but I was trying to to see how I can make these happen. Let's just dive in. How do we avoid tokenizing our BIPOC administrators? How do we, well, just, you know, in any space really, how do you avoid tokenizing? Anybody want to give that one? I think we've touched on it, but like, let's get real into that one. Like, and we've all probably experienced this on some level. But who'd like to go in first?
Yvette, I think you should take that one.
Okay, all right, I'll do it. Okay, so so the full question is, how do you avoid the tokenization of BIPOC administrators in this diversity quota hiring process? So that's a good question. I mean, I think the key to avoiding tokenization is doing things meaningfully, going at things authentically, understanding how to really incorporate those perspectives of those administrators that you're bringing in at whatever level they're coming in. So, I mean, that's really, I mean, like we stop being tokens when we are included in the conversation, when we are seen, when we are heard, when we're part of the process. And I don't mean part of the process when you have the idea, you've developed it, it's ready to go, it's packaged, and then you bring in a diverse voice to greenlight your idea. I mean bringing in diverse voices from the beginning, creating together, whether that is an administrator, on the artist side, on the front of house, at every level. If you want your ideas to be meaningful, authentic, and really working towards diversity, the diverse voices have to be there in the beginning. Nothing about us without us. Quoting my Sphinx leader, Crystal Pacific. That is think about that every time you go about anything, and I think you'll be okay. Yeah? Right? All right. All right, let's take this next one. As a white executive director, my awareness, history, culture, and anti-racism work is daily. Yes. Do each of you have a core internal focus that you use as a North Star? For example, be humble and ready to fumble, from Erica Hines. Who'd like to take that one?
Yeah, I would say mine is great question. It's really good. I try to soak myself in gratitude and in empathy, right? So gratitude meaning that, you know, I have this opportunity to work with others, right? Other people. And so I think that's something that, and that's not a savior complex, you know, so as a white colleague, you know, we don't want to feel, you know, you're not trying to save anybody, right? But it's a humane complex, right? So I would say, you know, to always soak myself in gratitude. And also the empathy part is just to, you know, it's just listening, right? You know, listening to what people are saying and what they're not saying, as I mentioned earlier. And so I would say that's kind of my core internal focus. And, you know, and I think it's important to say that, you know, even as a Black male, you know, I'm an outsider in other Black spaces, right? So I think sometimes white people think they're outsiders in this work, right? But there's certain spaces I go into, you know, certain Black neighborhoods, Latino neighborhoods that, you know, I'm an outsider because I'm not part of that neighborhood, right? And so, it's certainly not a monolithic type of thing, you know, people, as Angie talked about earlier. So yeah, I would say that, if that made any sense.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, LaSaundra.
And I would just share that the importance of staying in your lane. I mean, I know we hear it so often, but it's so easy when you're doing work to look at what Yvette is doing and to look at what Rod is doing and to look at what Angie is doing. But there is something that only you can do. There is something that there's a gifting inside of me that only I can give to the world. And when you stay in your lane and you focus on that gift and that talent that you were born with, and you know that what you have is valuable, that is my internal focus, to not look to the left or to the right or to look at what somebody else is doing, but to know, one, what I have, I bring value to the table. And two, I'm going to stay focused in my lane because there's something that only I can do. And I have to get better at doing that. And I can't get better by looking at anybody else. So that is what, what I stick with day in and day out. Stay in my lane, know that what I'm doing is valuable, regardless of who sees it and who knows it, knowing that I know for myself that the work that I'm doing is valuable and that it's needed.
Yeah, for me on a daily basis too, or when I'm feeling like maybe something's not gonna come through, or I may not want to keep pursuing something that hasn't led to a tangible project or action, I remind myself that this, something has to be done, and that I would feel more comfortable if at least I tried to get something done rather than have sat back or have turned my eye towards something that that I was not happy with, that I knew was not beneficial to my people, to my community, to our students. And I also think that when you have been put into this position, you are put into this position for a reason. When something comes to you, then it comes to you for a reason, and you might be just the right person to get it done. But we also have to be patient and have a game plan for seeing things change.
Absolutely. And I'll just add to this. I think it's important as a leader of an organization to encourage and foster a culture where vulnerability is accepted, where failure is okay, and really try to create spaces where diverse voices can and feel safe about sharing their perspectives. And I just want to add, gratitude is also, for me, Rod, something that I practice every day. This work is heavy, it's difficult, it's emotionally taxing, and it's not very fast moving sometimes. It feels, I see a question coming about how to do it quickly. I mean, I understand both. I understand the need for wanting it to change quickly, and I also understand that we're breaking down a system. This is not tackling one problem. This is like dismantling the system, and the system is strong. So just being grateful for the opportunity to do the work, and being grateful for the things that you are able to change. I think that's important, really important. And like to LaSaundra, like, be grateful. I mean, you are impacting and you are changing lives every single day. It doesn't matter what camera is on and who is watching. Like, that's your North Star. The lives that you're changing, those kids. Oh my gosh, check out, please follow LaSaundra's work. I think she's moving mountains in North Carolina, and I can't wait to see how that orchestra and that the youth of your program go out and change the world. So I'm gonna keep this rolling here. So how does an arts administrator advocate for Latinx or Latinx, I guess focus, but I guess BIPOC also, to program BIPOC composers in their productions, specifically Latin American or not music from Spain, since Latinx Spanish is second most spoken language in the US. So that did call out Opera Theater of St. Louis, and that's a great, it's a great question. I think, again, it's about bringing, I'll take this, but I want to throw it to the panel also. So how are you encouraging your organization to program, I guess, BIPOC art, and in this case, Latinx? So for Opera Theater of St. Louis, I mean, I think I'm really proud to be joining this organization who has really created a platform and is being accountable to this work in their programming and the staff. I mean, just recently, I started on January 4th, and with me came along 4 three incredible young administrators who I have full faith will go forward and change the world. I'm really, really proud to be a part of their journey. And also our programming, which we really, I mean, I'm just like blown away by the creators that we're bringing in and the opportunity to start bringing talent, emerging talent, and also on all sides, in the front, in the back, and on stage. So I'm really proud of Opera Theater. Opera Theater, the operas that are presented are in English. So that's something that's very unique about this festival. And while we do work that originally is another language, we work on translations and get things on stage. I think it's about exposing the leadership to that work and continuing to bring creators and creating pathways for creators to get access to these, you know, organizations that have the budget and have the space to create. So I'm there now, and that's my plan. But I would encourage, even if you don't have, you know, BIPOC perspectives at the table, that you find them and you bring them in, and that can start with artists. So creating artist-led content, I think, is really important. And yeah, it's coming, and it's already happening in a lot of spaces, but I want to hear what our panel has to say.
I'd love to answer that with the work, the outlook that we take for programming our yearly cultural crossover concert. So we look at the demographics of the community, and I can't wait to get the census updates to see what specific culture and country and, you know, community is in my zip code. So that's the one thing that I'm excited about, like having the data. But we know, you know, how do we get the Guatemalan community into our concerts if they've never been to a concert hall, first of all? So we program Guatemalan traditional music. We bring in their native instruments, which is the marimba. We teach their children who are of Guatemalan descent or first generation immigrants. And that's how we get the whole community to come here and share that pride, share that sense of visibility with all of our symphonic partners and institutional partners. So look at your demographic and make a case for why perhaps programming something from Spain may not serve 1,000 people, but may just serve a smaller population.
Great, thank you, Angie. Just making sure, can everyone hear me? I'm hearing that my mic might be having some problems. Okay, let me see. So Rod, could you read the next question? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay, great. So here's one more question. We're getting close to the end. For new leaders of color taking the reins of an organization whose art form is steeped in white supremacy, how do you create buy-in for radical social change from a donor and audience base that doesn't see these issues as they are?
That's for me, or is that for everyone? That is a really, really great question. So my experience when I first became ED of PRIZM Ensemble is I did what I call listening tours, in which I just, you know, I accepted every meeting. I met with every person and just kind of did that for quite some time. And I think that's important to do, you know, as a new leader. But then I realized that I was having the same conversations with the same people about the same thing. And they, you know, even if I had given some type of, you know, steps for them to take to move forward, you know, the third meeting, they had not done that. And so I stopped taking those meetings. And so what I'm saying is that, you know, not everyone is going to buy into this. And so, you know, you can't really waste your time, you know, talking to the wrong people, right? Which I did that for quite some time, you know, but there are many other people who will buy into this radical social change. So I would first, you know, I would start there to understand, like, hey, not everyone's going to get it, and they're going to be left behind. That's fine. So, I need to, steer your energy and your conversations and your engagement with people who will get it, and that doesn't mean that you don't, for those who don't get it, you don't begin to educate and try to cultivate those relationships. But, you can't change anyone, right? And so I would just say, to balance your energy, your mental energy for one, with that, to really work with the people who really get it, who are going to get it. And then, for those who don't get it, still engage in those conversations, educate that, but don't spend too much time there.
Yeah, my advice briefly would be to find someone on the board or even a funder that believes in the need for diversifying or changing the change that you are proposing, and have this person as an ally to make the case on why this makes sense. I think, ideally this is your chairman, so go with your chairperson to say, this is why it makes sense, and I really urge you to make this change, or with a funder who gets it and understands, and say, hey, we're investing in this because of this reason, and in the future we want to continue investing in what he or she is proposing that shows greater diversity as well.
And real quickly, I would also say that sometimes change happens over time, and sometimes your board may need to see success first, and maybe a program or initiative. So maybe you can start there. And then I would also say you might have to get a little unorthodox in maybe creating a new audience. So if the old audience is not buying in, use this opportunity to create a new audience and then build upon that. But a lot of times boards want to see you be successful in an endeavor, and that success may lead to, the change that you want to see.
Great, thank you. So for our final question, we didn't get to all of our questions, but I just want to thank our audience for participating and engaging. We had some really wonderful questions, and I'm sure we can go all day if we could on this. But before we go, panel, what would you either tell our audience today, like what could they do today to make this work start moving forward? Or you can choose to answer, what does success look like? Right, I'm going to you.
All right, yeah, today you can begin to amplify diversity throughout the organization, institution, foundation, ensemble, etc. You can begin today engaging in conversations with diverse individuals and gain actionable steps. If you only have one Black friend, you have another one. Here I am. So reach out to me. You got 2 Black friends now. Put us on your website. No, don't. And partner with other organizations that support emerging leaders of color in the field. You can do that today. You can begin today collecting demographic data from your audience engaging with you online. I know we're not in the concert hall, but who's engaging with you online. And then today, you can also stay engaged in diversity and anti-racism education and conversations.
Yeah, I would say for arts administrators or people that are doing the work today, don't be afraid to send a cold email to someone that you've been meaning to talk to, or someone that you idolize, or do you want to get them to mentor you and guide you. Don't be afraid of that power of calling them up or sending them an email. For an institution, go and partner with your local institutions. Don't invest a lot of money in hiring a consultant, because oftentimes if you invest that same amount in an institution, you will get immediate results. And also make space and hire people, but put them in senior leadership positions, so that we're not just put into the doing the minion work, but actually at the decision-making table. And you can also always stay in touch with me at Angie@INTEMPO.org. Sorry that we're running out of time.
Go ahead.
And just for sake of time, I'd also ask the institutions, one thing that you can do today is take a survey of your current employees and say, is our organization belonging? Do you feel like you belong here? You know, take an inventory of your current employees. You can do that today.
And I'll just say one last thing for today. I would say for my BIPOC fellow colleagues out there, what you could do today is find your support group, find your people. My people are right here, Sphinx Lead. That's who I really lean on, and that work it never ends. So I just make sure that you take care of yourselves and take care of your mental health, take care of your well-being, and find your tribe. I just want to thank everyone for being here today. Thank you to my panel. Thank you to our audience. Continue to do the work. Don't lose hope. And thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for being here and engaging in this conversation.